attracts a lot of professional and aspiring professionals. So, so I would like to check something. How many professional or aspiring professional is there in the audience? Can you raise your hand? Wow. A lot of people. Okay. So I did good. I had something prepared for the usual audience, but I thought it wouldn't be as interesting as it could be for an audience such like yours. So I made a different speech I would like to share with you. Usually I talk about how we create the animation and stuff like that, so but I think these are things that you are already familiar with, so I don't think it would be interesting. So I decided to talk about the process of creation as an artist and as a creator, and maybe I hope it will be more interesting to you. I wanted to share with you, to talk with you about this question. So, what makes, how to make something successful, or how you can come up with ideas that will reach an audience and make it successful. Because as we know now, and I'm a living proof of it being right here on the stage of Pixelat, Miraculous is a successful show. But success is something very, it can have a lot of definitions, and some say that success is having good ratings. But we all know we have good ratings with Miraculous, there's no denying about it. But to me, having good ratings is not what makes something successful. It may be sign of success for broadcasters or producers, but for me it's not the ultimate goal. It's not what defines success to me. Yeah, it's broadcasted all over the world, so yeah, it could be a sign of success too. And a few days ago, I was taking a cab in Paris, and then I started talking with the cab driver, and he told me, "What are you doing now?" "I'm doing cartoons." "Oh yeah, what kind of cartoons?" "Yeah, I made a little something for French TV, it's called Miraculous." "Oh, Miraculous, I know about it." I don't know about it, it's my nephew who knows about it, and he lives in Algeria, you know, and he's fond of it. So, yes, you could say it's a kind of a mark of success, this as well, you know, it's, success is when people who've never seen your show, but they still know about it. So it can be a mark of success. Success apparently would be something that gains an audience, and we have in France an organization that is specialized into taking measures of the audience, taking measures of the ratings, knowing exactly how many people watch the show, at which time, if there is more girls, or kids, or elders, or anything like this. It's called Mediametry. It's an organization that all broadcasters relies on to get all the ratings and the numbers for them to, you know, get advertisement and everything. So this organization, they also make special interventions into animation studios, for example. And I heard the story of an animation studio who hired the services of this organization. And they asked this organization, well, how do you make a successful show? So this organization went to the studio and tell all the execs and the artists, producers and everything that were here at that time, they told us, yeah, if you want to have a successful show, you have to aim at all kids, and then they took several examples of very successful shows and say, oh, you got to take the stories, you got to talk about this, and don't talk about that, and you have to aim for the kids from that age, and then blah, 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 all your show will be successful. Okay. And then there is an artist in the crowd who was there. Well, and what about Miraculous? Why is it so successful? And then the guy was like, we don't know. They did everything wrong, but it works. Well, I don't know if there's a recipe for success as this organization thinks. The only thing I can tell you about it is what guided us in the team to create the show. That's the only thing I can really do. So, I don't know if it can be reproduced or anything, but maybe it will give you some ideas, and hopefully it will help you create stuff and reach your audience. So, first, I won't talk to you about the technique, 2D, 3D, the software, and all that stuff, because I am very convinced that it doesn't matter. Back in the days, 30 years ago when I started in animation, we were all using the same techniques all around the world. In America, in Japan, in France, we were doing animation the same way. Drawing stuff and then printing it on cells and then shooting it on the camera. It was the same technique for all of us. And it didn't prevent us to create masterpieces all over the world. So I think the technique doesn't matter. The technique is something that comes afterwards. So you choose it because you think it fits your project, but you don't choose the technique first and then create a project for the technique. It doesn't work that way, I think. So I won't talk about technique. It doesn't matter, I think. I won't talk about skills or talent, because it's not that. Of course, skill and talent matters, but it's just the consequence of hard work, and that's all. So I think, I'm sure we can find here a lot of people with a lot of skills, because they are hard-working people and they are very dedicated to what they want to do. So I won't talk about that. I think we are all at the same page here. We love animation, we all love making stories, and we are ready to do anything for this. So I don't think it really matters, it doesn't make a difference. I'm sure you are all as passionate about animation as me, so I don't think it makes a difference. So, I think maybe one of the things that can make a difference is managing to connect with what you deeply want to tell when you tell a story. Of course, you can reproduce things that you love, but it's not the same as connecting with your inner self, what you deeply believe in, and try to make this happen as a story. And I think that's really the most important thing. Finding something you deeply want to tell. That's something that can really make a difference. And so the first thing is that for me, doing this job, getting into animation, I didn't make it for money or for fame or anything. I made it because I love it. And even if before Miraculous I wasn't a successful artist, it doesn't matter. My life didn't change because of that. Just, I'm happy with my life because when I'm doing my stuff, even if, whether it's successful or not, I am having a lot of pleasure doing it. And that's all that matters to me. And I'm not doing it only for me because I enjoy what I do. I'm also doing it because I'm doing it for the people. I think it's important that when you are creating stuff, it's not just creating stuff for yourself, it's also creating stuff for people. There is a lot of stories I'd like to tell, but I won't bother people with it. You know, because that's my stuff, and okay, I'm okay, I'm doing little drawings at my desk, and it's just for me, and that's all. I don't see the point of bothering people with it. But when I want to reach people, I try to think of stories that will matter to people. Because if it matters to people, then it will matter to me. And this is a way I think this is a good starting point to create something. I really want to, I enjoy the idea of spending a lot of time at my desk, writing stuff, drawing stuff, and hoping that in the end, I will be able to communicate this joy I have doing this stuff and share it with other people. And that maybe, you know, it's like creating a light bulb, you know, like in cartoons, creating a light bulb inside the heads of people. You know, it's like, ding! Oh, finally, I didn't see it that way. Oh, that's interesting. And I will help people, maybe this little light bulb that brings light into people's head, maybe it will make you feel better, or maybe it will help you understand new things. And I think that's something that drives me when I work. And I think that's a good starting point. You know, I started writing very late. I was like 35 when I started writing stuff, because everything I wrote it before, I thought it wasn't interesting enough. So I told you I didn't want to bother people with it. I'm not saying that you should wait to be 35 to write something. What I'm saying is, when you write something, you should be convinced of what you're making. If you are convinced about what you're making, if you're passionate about it, you will be able to transmit it. If you're not passionate about it, if you're not convinced that your story matters, that, oh, these are good stuff in this, you won't be able to reach people, you know? You have to be convinced first of your own work. So, trust yourself, be convinced of what you're doing, put a lot of energy in it, and I think this also is a good starting point for making a great story. I wasn't convinced about what I was writing, because I think that my views on the world weren't clear enough. You know, I think it is something really important. When you're creating a story, you are sharing with other people your views on the world. So I think what can make a difference between a good story and a really good story is that it's presenting a very strong view of the world. That's something really important, I think. And this is not something, as I told you, this is something you should do for yourself. but also for the humor, and also for the people you work with. It's important to them. It's important to be able to gather people who share the same ideas as you. The more you will be able to gather around certain ideas, the more powerful you will be, and the more powerful your story will be. Most of the people I work with share the same views as me. And the common point we have is that we are all convinced that a good story is something that will be popular and intelligent at the same time. There is no point in opposing this. You can make both, you know, but it's difficult to do. Difficult to do because making something popular is easy. You know, it's like you pick up things that are popular. You can get fun art. You know, it's very easy to get likes or views when you're doing fan art because you are representing something that is already popular. You know, it's the easy way. You know, and you will always find people who will be okay to follow you because you want to make something popular, because something popular equals the opportunity to make money, you know. But it's more difficult to do intelligent things because it's very difficult to make intelligent things with people who just want to make money. You know, so that's why it's important to gather with the right people. People who understand this. It's not just about making something popular to get money. It's just you can get money by doing something popular and intelligent at the same time. So it all comes to something very personal, you know. It all comes with a kind of ethics in the way you work, and the personal choice and the personal views you have on the world. So it means that stories you are going to create they are personal choices. So when you will confront your story, when you will show or tell your stories, pitch your stories to other people, don't listen to them. Don't listen to marketing, producers, or fans. Basically, don't listen to anyone who isn't actively creating the story with you. Don't listen to them. Listen to their concern, listen to what they want to understand, but never do what they want. Don't listen to their solutions, only listen to their concern and find your own solution until everybody is satisfied. And everybody means everybody includes you. So that's why you have to listen to yourself first. It doesn't mean listen to no one, but it means listen to yourself first. Okay? And so this is the mindset we have in the team. Now, as for the content, this is another thing we share. We think that we need, nowadays, to tell stories that matter for the world. We have to create stuff that will make the world better. I came here in Mexico to meet you, and I had to take a plane, which is very polluting, and this is the kind of things we cannot afford anymore. So if I took a plane here to meet you, I have to make it matter. I have to make this important. I have to convey a message. You know, just get here, meet you, and just do a little drawing and that's done. we have to face that we are on the verge of extinction. We used to have time to tell bullshit stories, you know, and we can't do that anymore. We all have to put our strength in creating new stuff that will help raise awareness. And more than that, we will have to create stuff, new stuff, that show a new way. It's our responsibilities, all of us here, as visionaries and creators, we are the one who can show new stuff, new ideas. It's our responsibility. One of my beliefs is that what makes us different from animals is just one single thing. It's the ability to create stories. Sharing stories from the beginning is what made us evolve to this point right now. And gods are stories. Money is a story, you know. This is a story, you know. With this, I go to any shop and I give this piece of paper, and then someone will give me food with it. No, just paper, you know. In which world this piece of paper grant me food, you know? It's crazy when you think about it, but it's true. This is a story. Economics, which rules the world now, is a story as well. All the leaders are talking about it as if economy was a natural force, you know, or something greater than us, like a law of physics, you know. But it's not. It's just a story. A story we all choose to believe in. All of this, gods, money, economics, all this stuff, these are very successful stories. Now we face a time when we will have to sort things out, and for some of those stories, we have to make them outdated. We have to stop believing in this anymore. And of course, we can protest against this. How can we help them? We can protest against it. I've been protesting all my life, but it doesn't work. Let's face it, it doesn't work against the forces we have to face. We have to face all over the world, tyrants, demagogues, and now we also have to face the forces of nature, which are becoming crazy because of climate change. We totally changed the weather, so now we have to face more typhoons and stuff like that. So you can't protest against tyrants or demagogues. They don't care about it. They will send the cops. You can protest against forces of nature. The poor guys in the Bahamas here, whatever, they can do anything but protect themselves, you know? So, protesting, it's okay, but our responsibility here, my responsibility, your responsibility as creators is not just about creating stuff that you protest against this or that. We have to create new utopias. We have to create projects in which we show how we would like the world to be. We have to show new ways. And thanks to these new projects, thanks to these new ways, we can gather people. And this is how we can make things change. And that's what we are trying to do in Miraculous, sometimes very poorly. I agree with that. But we try. We try. We try to be the most inclusive we can be. We try to be representative. But it's not enough. For example, it's very difficult in a show for kids to talk about ecology. I mean, real ecology. Not just about, oh, you got to protect the trees and the air. Of course you have to protect the trees and the air and the water. But how do you do that? And that's the real problem. And it's all about politics. It's all about the system we live in. And this, talking about politics, is something very difficult in a kid's show. So, we try to, in the show, to put some symbolic stories to reach out goal, but it's very difficult, but I think maybe we will achieve at least to talk about these things. And also, another thing we try to do in Miraculous, and I'm sure you saw it, is it's showing how we are not used to handle properly our emotions. And not being able to handle our emotions, not listening to them and learning to live with them, it makes us very vulnerable. We can be easily manipulated when we are toyed by our emotions. And that's why now, in most TV shows and movies, they appeal to your emotions because it makes you more easily manipulated, you know? So, being able to toy with other people's emotions, it's storytellers and writers' superpower. So it's a big responsibility. So you will have to create new stuff that will reach people's hearts and hopefully try to make them change. It's a real responsibility. And I hope you will be successful in it because it's really something we need now and very fast. Another thing we did in Miraculous, and that may explain how it reached so many people's hearts all around the world, is that we tried to do something very simple. We tried to make something local, universal. Japanese artists know how to do it well. In Hollywood, they know how to do it well too. And they managed to make us dream about their culture. This is something we were not used to do in France. Usually when we were creating stories years ago, as soon as we put something fresh in our stories or in our shows, it was cut. Because broadcasters thought that, okay, it's too French, nobody will understand, and so your audience won't understand. But I think it's a big mistake. And I think if Miraculous did something great, at least it can be that I think we managed to share a little bit of the French culture with you. And hopefully you love it. And I think that's something great. Using something local and trying to make it universal. It gives truth to what you do. It feels for the viewer, it feels more reliable. So you use less cliches, less stereotypes. It feels truer. And I think also that using local stuff, trying to put your own culture, trying to pull it up, it sets an example I think that maybe it will help other people to value their own culture. And I think it's really important for everyone here around the world to recognize and value what makes our own culture great, you know. And especially here in Mexico, I think you understand that you have a so wide culture of your own. So use it, make it grow, share it with the world, because when we as artists use our own culture, we take part in the fight against cultural imperialism. It makes me sad every time in the world a language stops to be spoken. And I'm here, I'm talking to you in English, you know? And I'm ashamed of myself, you know? I think it's great because I can communicate with you, we don't speak the same language, but it's crazy when you think about it. As Spanish and French have more similarities than English and Spanish and French, you know? So we have to change this way. We cannot let just one point of view on the world, which is the English North American view, to win this fight. You know? Another thing is, when we want to reach people, this is something I'm deeply convinced. It's about reaching I'm going to take you an example. In France, we think of the audience as a train. You know, the train, there is multiple wagons, you know, I don't know if that's the right word. And when you're creating something, the producers or the broadcasters, they want you to create something for one wagon and not the others. And I like to think differently. I think it's more efficient when you think of the audience as a train, and then depending on what you want to tell, you remove one wagon at a time. And I think it allows you to reach more people. But it also means that whatever the age, don't tell different things to your audience. When you're telling a story, don't tell something for the adults and something else for the kids. I know that this is a common thing to do, for example, in movies like DreamWorks do that a lot of, in a lot of movies, you know. They have, you know, jokes for the adults, so the adults laugh and the kids don't understand what's happening. All the adults are floating, maybe it's funny, I didn't get it. And then the kids focus on something that will be boring for the adults. And personally, I don't like that. I think stories are a very deep, important moment for people to gather and share ideas. So what I like is telling people, whatever the age, whatever gender, I will tell them the exact same thing. So when the story is finished, you gather after the stories, you remain gathered, and then you can talk about it. And you've been told the same thing. So you have the same elements to talk about, and I think that's very important. And on the opposite, it's Miyazaki. That's why I love so much Miyazaki's movies, because that's what he does. You know, it tells the kids and the older exactly the same thing, and I think. But it's very difficult to do that, but I think it's a good goal to have in mind. It doesn't mean that you have to refrain yourself to speak about some issues, you know? It's not because you are talking to kids and adults at the same time that you should refrain yourself from talking about death, illness, mourning, or this kind of stuff. You can talk about this with kids. It depends on finding the good way to talk about it. And one of the most influential artists for me is Osamu Tezuka. I don't know if you know him, but this guy was just a genius. You know, he could talk about rise and fall of civilization and this stuff with a real cute drawing, and then you can give this to kids, and they won't be traumatized by it. They will understand it, and I think it's brilliant. So this is a goal I have in mind when I create stories. And another thing we do to reach people is we try to transform some very abstract issues into concrete issues. So that's why in Miraculous, for example, we use a lot objects, you know. That's why the Akuma goes into an object, and you have to get it, and you have to break it in order to let the Akuma goes away. So the Akuma is kind of the bad emotion, you have to let it go away, you know. It becomes very concrete, and so it's more reliable and more understandable for kids. And I think that's something very important. Trying to make things easy to understand. And I think being concrete is very important. So this is what guides us when we create Miraculous. I don't know if we achieve it. I mean, what we did achieve is gain a global audience. But the world is full of things that have a global audience, but they don't matter, and they will be forgotten in a few months, in a few weeks, at best in a few years. I think that what is the sign of success for me is if the show helps change things a bit. And if in the future I did the same thing as Paul Williams. I don't know if you know Paul Williams is. Paul Williams is the writer of Pronto Paradise, the movie, and he also plays the main character in this movie. And it's a movie that was made by Dupain-Cheng at the time, and it failed horribly. Nobody saw it, except a few people, like caught. And Paul Williams was very affected by it because, you know, he put a lot of himself into the story. And, but now he's working with Guillermo del Toro to make the song of a new movie of his. So, and why is that? Is because when Guillermo del Toro was a kid, he's been very touched and moved by Phantom of the Paradise, and it changed his life. You know, it changed his way of thinking, and he was very passionate about it. So I think that if somehow the love you have for Miraculous that made you come here to listen to me, if I managed to change you a little bit and make you realize that all the things that you will create now has to matter, then okay, this will be the real success of the show. Thank you very much. So, people will be passed in the crowd, so if you want to ask some questions, because we have a little bit of time left. Hello?
Merci pour votre ici.
Muchas gracias.
And I think that it really matters you are here, and I think Miraculous Ladybug is really special because of language and because I remember when it was supposed to be anime, so I was interested because it was Japanese, so it didn't matter if it was going to be in Japanese, but it was created from French style story, and then it changed to a company with Korea, and it was like, what makes beautiful Miraculous Ladybug is all the languages that has been involved to the creation of it. So my question is, how has language been an impulse to Miraculous Ladybug?
Language and above that, cultural differences have been a huge improvement for the show. I did put in Miraculous all the stuff that I was in love with, like Japanese animation, manga, and US comic books and everything, and also the French comic books and everything. But also, we had to work with Korean people, studios from India, so it forces you to create bridges so everybody understands the project and gets really involved into it. So I think that's the beauty of it. It's how to transcend all the cultural differences to make people work together on one goal.
First of all, thank you for coming here and take us share part of your life. It's such a great experience that you give to us. And my question is, what do you think, you, like a person and creator? The story chose the people, or the people chose the story? What do you think about that? The story, you chose the story, or the story chose you? Like, how do you think about that as a creator and as a person and a viewer of series?
The way I create stories always starts with, okay, this is the kind of things I want to tell, and then I have to find the right vehicles to tell it. And the right vehicles is the characters. So I always try to create characters that are all of them have a deep story and will help me tell the story. And I need to create characters that will be so deep that when I want to talk about something, it's just like playing with a toolbox, you know? I take the subject I want to talk about and then I throw it inside the toolbox, and then I look at how the characters are reacting. You know? And sometimes it leads the story on some path I didn't expect. But okay, that's how the character would react. So I have to be truthful to that. You know, I have to respect that and let the characters tell the story their way. It's my story, but they tell it their way. I don't know if I'm clear, but that's the way we proceed.
Welcome to Mexico. First of all, I think already has been said, but first I want to thank you as a creator for doing Miraculous Ladybug. I think there's a reason that this is full of people, because you create a story about a mixed race female superhero in these time of days that we are fighting between people that we are just wanting to classify people and separate people, and making that kind of story, I think it really touched me, and I think it touches everyone. Also, recently yesterday, a new episode of Miraculous was put out, and awesome, the new outfits, I love it, I want to go in it, and I'm sure everyone already saw it in social media, but it's awesome. But now, my question is, you talk about doing like serious topics for kids show, of course, and I think Miraculous is so amazing because it has a lot of lore, especially about the other users, Like Mariquita, I saw it in social media that you commented. I love her because she's Mexican, so I was like super excited. And all the other users of other past users of other countries, races, it's amazing. I wanted to know if you are, and the creators of the show, are interested in going into that more, also about the quants and everything, into a more, maybe in other media, like comics, or also in the show, maybe in webisode, or also like if it will be more like serious and like not so like you said, like it's more like a kid show for the one that is more serious. And also this might be a little bit of a traumatic question, but what does it feel to get traumatized? Like, sorry, but what does it feel?
No, it's so first about the past. Miraculous holders. Because, we will talk about it in the show, obviously. Maybe not as much as I like to, because we have to focus on the main characters, obviously. But we will talk about it. And we will explore it more deeply into comic books. It's very difficult to French laws concerning the author, the droit d'auteur, author rights, makes creation with many people very difficult in France. And what we want to do with ZAG and Method is to create a huge studio with a lot of people, a lot of artists, and a lot of writers to do comics about Miraculous and exploring all this stuff. But it's very difficult to do because of French laws. You know, we would like to work like Marvel or DC Comics, you know, but it doesn't work in France. It doesn't work that way. So it takes a lot of time to build up, but hopefully we are very close to succeed. And then in the next months to come, we will launch comic books and explore this kind of things. As for you, I think you have all already experienced that. Sometimes when you experience a breakup or when you're very sad and all that stuff. Of course, the emotions overflow you, you know, but you don't feel your emotions as that feeling, even anger or sadness. These are good things. These are warning signals that are here to help you. You just have not yet these emotions and go through and assault you. So, for example, this is just a tiny example I use a lot. When you are angry about something, and I'm very often angry, because anger is when the world, as you experienced it, is not working the way you would like to. And so you see injustice and all this stuff. And this is something that makes you angry. So why doesn't it work that way, you know? Yeah, it's complicated, you know, we are a lot of people on this planet. So anger is a good thing. It's a warning signal that tells you, okay, things are not working the way we want to. But try to do something about it. And then I will disappear. This is what anger is all about. So, of course, when you're really angry, you don't have the right mindset to change things. You know, you are only in the mindset to punch things, you know, because punching things may appear the easiest way to change things, you know, like the Hulk, you know. It doesn't work that way in a civilized country. So, what I always do when I'm angry, I try to visualize, I try to analyze my feelings, and okay, what am I feeling now? Okay, I'm feeling anger, and then I put my anger into a tiny box, a tiny invisible box, and I look at my anger. Okay, why are you here? And then I discuss with my anger, you know, and then it tells me solution. Okay, I'm angry about this. What can I do about this? And this is what being humanized is all about. You know, being humanized when you feel anger, and you have no way to make it go. And it makes you very vulnerable, and then Hawkdadd can manipulate you. Because it brings you an exit door. A very easy escape. You know? So another way to escape it is to, put it in the box and analyze it. And then you can make the Akuma go away. So this is why I think this is something you have all already experienced.
How do you feel about your other person and yourself? How do you feel? What are your emotions?
I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit old and I can hear very